Mr. Kumar. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ramya?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. I think we are meeting after a very, very, very long time.
Oh, yes, correct.
Right. So, how are things in the meanwhile?
Things are okay. How about you? How
All
are
good.
things at your end?
All good and all great.
Great to hear
Yes.
that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I hope you're ready for today's session.
Oh, let's begin.
Okay. So, we have a very interesting topic today. But before we get to the topic, we also have an extempore topic for today. So
Okay,
there are two topics. Let me call out both the topics for you. You can choose any one and give a speech for about 2 to 3 minutes. Okay,
cool.
so the first topic is ways to get up in the morning,
Hmm.
and the second topic is poor health begins in the mind.
Okay. So I think I would like to discuss on the second topic, like poor health begins in the mind.
Okay.
So, like, illness is basically we consider, like, say, for example, if I talk about headache,
Mm,
and if I talk about, say, um diarrhea, dysentery, or perhaps say um, psychological diseases or
mm,
the diseases that are caused due to stress that we take on daily basis.
mm,
Uh, you know, I think first of all, what happens is nowadays people are too much stressed,
mm,
right? And if I talk about the daily activities, we tend to think about it,
mm.
uh, good things, bad things again, right? And we tend to think a lot. We have started overthinking,
Yes.
and then it causes stress, and you know, which is again, it starts from the mind itself, right?
Mm,
And
mm.
then gradually, if you start overthinking, it'll affect your body. It starts affecting your body,
Yes.
which can cause certain diseases. Again, like uh, as I mentioned, psychological disorders.
Mm, mm.
And you know people have to go to the doctor again. Initially they do not take this as a serious disease,
Mm.
uh, yeah, and then as time progresses, it starts to getting it severe day by day,
Yes.
right? So this was perhaps one of the examples. I think the health begins in the mind, as I mentioned. And the second thing which I would like to talk here is, say, addiction.
Mm,
We often consider, say, consuming alcohol,
mm,
and then cigarettes, and all of these is a kind of addiction that we cannot give things out from consuming all these narcotics, or say the alcohol and all of that,
mm.
right? And then it sometimes it strikes your say, if it impacts you in say a better way, it creates the dopamine called which is perhaps said good hormones, right?
Mm.
And it starts to secrete, and which affects your body actually. And
Right.
then if you start consuming on regular basis, certainly there are a lot of associated diseases that
Mm.
you know you're being caught. Say, for example, your liver gets damaged, and then say your probably body does not function well after having a lot of alcohol consumptions, right?
Yes.
So this is something again that starts with the mind itself, because you
Mm.
want that to be consumed. You believe that once I'll have the alcohol, I'll feel great for a time being, and you did
Mm.
not you ignore the repercussions and consequences, right?
Absolutely.
And at the later stage, probably you realize that what you have gone through after having all those say narcotics and all of those things which are actually bad to your bodies,
Mm.
can cause severe diseases later on. After all, I believe is that negative thinking. These
Mm.
days, people started thinking negative, and I mean, it's impacting in a different way. Like whatever you wish, and if that does not get accomplished, maybe due to certain conditions, right?
Right.
You start thinking negatively, and it
Yes.
impacts the way that it'll jeopardize your ambitions, your will, your whatever you wanted to pursue in your life.
Yes.
So yeah, and we really need to overcome all of those, right?
Hmm.
Like
It's absolutely essential in that way because I deal with a lot of students on a day-to-day basis, and the kind
mhm,
of words that I hear from students, I'm stressed, I'm depressed. I, as a
right,
child, didn't know what all these words were. So it's
right,
completely shocking to see students use such words, teenagers using such words these days. I'm not even sure if they are aware of what they actually are. And like
right,
you rightly said, it's all in the mind. So they have this thought in their mind. They've confirmed that that is depression or that is stress, and
right,
they try to like explain it to us, justify that that is what it is, and it takes a great deal of uh, counseling literally to make them understand what that exactly is, and what they are going through is just a phase that any
right,
other student goes through. So
right.
yes, this is something that I just wanted to share.
So yeah, I mean, today's youngsters especially, they're
Mm.
so much stressed out. Why? Because say for example, if the parents are expecting a lot from their child or their children,
Yeah.
right? Even if you scored say 90% in your 10th, 12th, or whatever, right? So your parents wouldn't be as happier as perhaps he would, when you scored say like 98%. So that
Hmm.
is also a kind of the one of the reasons the students get stressed out,
Yes.
and because their expectations are huge and the competition is very tough, right? It's a gut-wrenching competition everywhere, and even if you
Yeah.
apply for a position, say there are already people, they're huge in numbers. They've already sent their applications, and
Yeah.
it's hard to find a position. Say, for example, especially if I talk about the government jobs, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, the place where I come from, Bihar, I would tell you that, and everywhere, you'll see the parents, their children, they're striving hard in order to get, secure their position in government jobs, right?
Hmm.
And when they pursue, say, for example, high stress job like IAS, IPS, or the say called the tough jobs for that matter, right? So they go through a lot of mental trauma and a lot of say uh, sleepless nights, and then
Hmm.
unfortunately when they are not able to secure their positions, I mean they go through stress, and that can perhaps lead to their, sometimes they can lead to their lives as well at
Yeah.
times. So yes, but if I consider the people in say, currently I have been putting here in Delhi, and then if I talk about the
Hmm.
metropolitan cities, I mean I don't find youngsters, if I say, those who have graduated, or say who've done their masters and all of that, I
Hmm.
don't see that kind of zeal, or perhaps that uh, uneasiness towards getting their government jobs. They're not so much interested in getting,
Understand.
securing their positions when it comes to the government jobs and all of that, right?
Hmm.
So I don't see, I don't see that stress, as if I compare, uh, from the people from different states, say UP and Bihar.
Hmm.
So this is what I just wanted to put it across.
Right.
Um,
The exposure, I think, is a little different as compared to um, the metros. The metros, they are always a little ahead than any other state. Is what that is my personal opinion. The
mhm,
exposure is a little different. The kind of schools that they go to is a little different, and the parents are also at times, yes, even though they are focused on marks, but still the parents show these children different avenues where they can open up and shine. So it's not always that you have to be academically strong in order to um, shine in life. There are various other things that you can actually find a path
Correct.
there and
Correct.
achieve whatever you want to in life. That actually makes a lot of difference, and that exposure, I think we still have to reach to every part of our country. And I think it's very essential for a lot of students, especially in the rural areas, that kind of exposure, that kind of, even letting them know that these fields are actually open. So that is, I think that is something that we as citizens have that responsibility, and uh, we are trying to do our bit, um,
Correct.
yeah, from our end, whatever it is we could
Yeah.
do a little. Yeah.
So,
Right.
so actually, what I think is, they are going through a lot of scarcity, right, all the time because
Mm.
they don't have that much, say, they're not so much financially strong when that comes
Yeah.
to their background and all of that, and they do not
Mm.
have a lot of money to go and invest in their studies, in their higher studies, uh,
Mm.
join better schools, say, I mean, somewhere down the line, they're lacking on all those avenues. So, yeah, that could be probably one of the reasons, why they're always so focused when that comes to procuring their position, or, trying their level best in order to get the reserve their positions in, I would say, in the government jobs.
Mm.
So, yeah, correct.
Right. That's true. All right, so it's almost time. So let me just give you a quick feedback based on this interaction that we've had. So
Sure.
it's been a pleasure talking to you, especially this particular topic that we were discussing today. It's something that is really essential for all of us, for all our well-being, and how we should be strong mentally as well as physically to encounter all that we do on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So a quick feedback would be, you're speaking really well. You have a very good accent, and your fluency is really good. It's amazing. And one aspect that I want you to focus a little bit more on is to avoid using very often. So that is something that I did notice during this particular interaction, that you did use quite a few times.
Phyllis.
So if
Okay.
you can be a little bit more conscious about your usage of then that will be great. Because even I am into this habit of using very often, especially when I teach. So one fine day, one of my student he told me, "Ma'am, you used 6 times today." So, so after
Okay.
that, I started getting a little conscious about my usage of because their focus goes towards counting the number of times that I said rather than listening to the content that I was delivering.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is one thing that I really want you to work on, because you're doing everything else really well. So I just want you to push yourself to the next level where you just try and avoid um, using quite often in your
Sure.
conversation.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong about it, but it's just that sometimes when you're talking about something very seriously, uh, that sort of comes as a distraction. So
Correct.
that is the reason why I just wanted to let you know. But otherwise, it's all good. And I think last time I told you to like to be a little bit more expressive, or and that is something that I can see that you've worked on it. So thank you so much for taking the feedback positively. So I'm really happy about it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your feedback. And
You're most
I really enjoyed talking to you.
same here. Okay, so let's catch up sometime soon then.
Okay.
Until then,
Sure.
have a great time, and good night. Bye bye.
Good night. Good night. Bye bye.